Welcome, weary traveler, to a journey not through distant lands, but through time itself. As the modern world outside begins to quiet, and the day's demands gently recede, allow your mind to drift back, far beyond the comforts and conveniences we now take for granted. Tonight we embark on an immersive exploration into the heart of the Middle Ages, not to witness grand battles or the crowning of kings, but to understand the very fabric of daily existence within a medieval city. This is a tale of resilience, of adaptation, and of a life so profoundly different from our own, it might just surprise you. Prepare to unwind, to listen, and perhaps to find a quiet understanding of a world long past, as we delve into the hidden truths of urban life in the medieval era. Imagine, if you will, stepping out of your comfortable, climate-controlled home and into the bustling, bewildering reality of a medieval city, sometime between the 12th and 14th centuries. Forget, for a moment, the romanticized images of knights and castles. Focus instead on the immediate, visceral experience that would greet your senses. This was a world defined by its raw, unfiltered physicality, a constant, grinding struggle for existence that would test the very limits of your modern sensibilities. Your first encounter would undoubtedly be with the air itself. The medieval city was a symphony of smells, most of them far from pleasant. Picture narrow, winding streets, often unpaved, serving as both thoroughfares and informal waste disposal sites. Open sewers, little more than channels carved into the center of the street, carried refuse and human waste directly into nearby rivers or ditches. Households, lacking modern plumbing, would often simply empty their chamber pots directly into the street below, sometimes with a perfunctory warning cry of "God" before splashing their contents onto the unsuspecting street below. The stench would have been overpowering, a pungent mix of human and animal waste, rotting garbage, unwashed bodies, and the acrid smoke from countless hearths and workshops. This was not a world of deodorants and air. It was a world where your nose was constantly assaulted by the raw realities of urban living. Beyond the smell, the sounds would have been deafening. The cacophony of a medieval city was relentless. The clatter of hooves on cobblestones, the creak of wooden carts, the shouts of street vendors hawking their wares, the cries of children, the clang of blacksmiths' hammers, the distant ringing of church bells, and the constant murmur of hundreds, if not thousands, of voices. There was no quiet escape, no respite from the constant hum of human activity. Sleep would have been a challenge, punctuated by the sounds of the city that never truly slept. And then there was the sheer density of life. Medieval cities were crowded, often enclosed by defensive walls that limited their expansion. People lived in close quarters, with multiple families often sharing a single dwelling. Privacy was a luxury few could afford. This proximity, while fostering community, also created ideal conditions for the rapid spread of disease. Plagues, dysentery, smallpox, and countless other ailments were a constant threat, decimating populations with terrifying regularity. A simple cut could lead to a fatal infection, and a common cold could quickly escalate into something far more sinister. Medical knowledge was rudimentary, and superstition often played as large a role as science in attempts to cure the sick. Food, while available, was often monotonous and prone to fresh water was a precious commodity, often drawn from wells or rivers that were also used for waste disposal, leading to widespread illness. Hygiene, by modern standards, was virtually non-existent. Bathing was infrequent, and personal cleanliness was a constant battle against the grime and vermin that infested every corner of urban life. Fleece lice and rats were ubiquitous companions, vectors for disease, and a constant source of discomfort. In this world, survival was not a given. It was a daily achievement. The modern individual, accustomed to sterile environments, readily available food and water, and advanced medical care, would find the medieval city an overwhelming assault on their senses and a profound challenge to their very existence. It was a place where life was lived on the edge, where every day was a testament to the sheer tenacity of the human spirit in the face of relentless adversity. This was the grim reality, the hidden truth that lies beneath the romantic veneer of the Middle Ages. And it is just the beginning of our journey. Now, let us delve deeper into the lives that shaped this extraordinary era. Having glimpsed the harsh realities faced by the common city dweller, let us now shift our gaze to a different stratum of medieval society, the ambitious merchant. In a world where birth often dictated destiny, the merchant class represented a rare avenue for social mobility, a path carved through sheer ingenuity, daring, and an astute understanding of the burgeoning global economy. Their lives, while certainly not free from hardship, offered a stark contrast to the daily grind of the peasant or the artisan. Imagine a young man, perhaps named Thomas, born not to nobility or land, but to a family with a modest trade. His journey into the world of commerce would begin early, often as an apprentice. This was a rigorous education, far removed from formal schooling. Thomas would live with his master, learning the intricacies of a specific trade, perhaps weaving or the handling of precious spices. He would learn not just the craft, but the art of negotiation, the nuances of quality, and the complex web of supply and demand. Years would pass in diligent service, mastering every aspect of the business, from sourcing raw materials to selling finished goods. Once his apprenticeship was complete, Thomas might become a journeyman, working for wages, saving every coin. His ultimate goal: to become a master himself, to join a guild. Guilds were the bedrock of medieval commerce, powerful associations that regulated trades, protected their members, and ensured quality. Membership was a mark of prestige and a gateway to true prosperity. It meant access to markets, protection from unscrupulous competitors, and a voice in city affairs. But it also meant strict rules, high standards, and often a significant entry fee. With guild membership secured, Thomas could now embark on the grand adventure of medieval trade. This was an enterprise fraught with peril and immense opportunity. Picture him not on a paved highway, but on a muddy, bandit-infested track, or aboard a small, vulnerable cog ship battling the unpredictable North Sea. Trade routes were lifelines connecting distant lands and cultures. The Silk Road brought exotic spices, silks, and precious gems from the east. The Hanseatic League dominated trade in the Baltic and North Seas, moving timber, furs, grain, and fish. From the Mediterranean came wines, olive oil, and luxury goods. But every journey was a gamble. Pirates lurked in coastal waters, bandits roamed the land, and storms could sink a ship laden with a lifetime's fortune in an instant. Political instability, wars, and local tolls could cripple profits or halt trade entirely. Yet, the rewards for success were immense. A single successful voyage could elevate a merchant to a position of wealth and influence, far beyond what his birth might have promised. To mitigate these risks, medieval merchants pioneered early forms of financial innovation. Bills of exchange allowed money to be transferred without physically carrying large sums, reducing the risk of theft. Partnerships spread the financial burden and potential losses across multiple individuals. These were the nascent beginnings of modern banking and insurance, born out of necessity in a dangerous world. As Thomas's wealth grew, so too did his social standing. He might acquire a grander house, send his children to schools, and even participate in city governance. While he could never truly become a noble, his economic power often rivaled that of the landed gentry. Yet, this rise was not without its personal struggles. The long absences from family, the constant stress of financial risk, the ever-present threat of disease, and the ethical dilemmas inherent in a competitive world. These were the unseen burdens of the successful merchant. His life was a testament to ambition, a dance between calculated risk and the whims of fate. Whether he ended his days as a revered patriarch or a bankrupt cautionary tale, the medieval merchant's journey was a compelling narrative of human endeavor, shaping the very foundations of the modern economic world. Their stories, often overlooked in the grand chronicles of kings and battles, are a vital thread in the tapestry of history, revealing the true engines of change in the medieval city. From the bustling, often chaotic streets and the ambitious pursuits of merchants, let us now retreat into the quiet, hallowed halls where knowledge was painstakingly preserved and, at times, tragically lost. The Middle Ages, often mischaracterized as a period of intellectual darkness, was in fact a time when the flickering flame of ancient wisdom was kept alive, primarily within the walls of monastics. Imagine a monk hunched over a desk in a dimly lit room. The only sounds are the scratching of his quill and the rustle of parchment. This was the heart of knowledge preservation. Monks, often working in silence for hours on end, meticulously copied texts by hand. Each letter, each word, each page was a testament to their dedication. They weren't just transcribing. They were preserving history, philosophy, and science, ensuring that the works of ancient Greece and Rome, alongside Christian scriptures, survived the ravages of time. The process was slow, arduous, and incredibly expensive, making books rare and precious commodities. Yet, despite these heroic efforts, countless texts from antiquity and even from the early medieval period have been lost to us forever. Imagine the vast libraries of Alexandria or Constantinople, repositories of untold knowledge, much of which vanished due to fire, conquest, or simply neglect. The medieval period saw its own share of such losses. Viking raids often targeted monasteries, destroying not just lives but also the irreplaceable manuscripts housed within. Wars and political upheavals led to the dispersal or destruction of collections. These lost texts represent gaps in our understanding, whispers of knowledge that never reached our ears. But the medieval book was not merely a vessel for words. It was often a work of art in itself. Illuminated manuscripts, adorned with intricate illustrations, vibrant colors, and gold leaf, were visual masterpieces. These illuminations weren't just decorative. They often served to clarify the text, to tell a story visually, or to add symbolic meaning. The creation of these works involved skilled artisans, grinding pigments, preparing parchment from animal skins, and applying gold with astonishing precision. Each illuminated page was a fusion of faith, art, and scholarship. As the Middle Ages progressed, knowledge began to spread beyond the monastery walls. The emergence of universities in cities like Paris, Bologna, and Oxford created new centers of learning. These universities, with their growing student populations, demanded more books, leading to the development of secular scriptoriums and early forms of book production. Libraries within these universities became vital hubs for scholars, organizing and disseminating knowledge to a wider audience than ever before. However, the fragility of knowledge remained a constant theme. The burning of libraries, whether accidental or intentional, was a devastating blow to intellectual progress. Each lost manuscript was a piece of the past, a voice silenced. This deep dive into the lost libraries and the painstaking efforts to preserve knowledge reveals a profound respect for the written word, a quiet dedication that ensured the continuity of human thought through centuries of change. It reminds us that knowledge, like life itself, is precious and often precarious, a fragile flame needing constant tending. We have walked the muddy streets of the commoner and peered into the quiet dedication of the scholar. Now, let us ascend the formidable walls of the castle and step into a world of immense power, undeniable privilege, and its own unique set of pressures, the daily life of a medieval lord. Imagine the dawn breaking over a sprawling stone fortress, not just a home, but a military stronghold, an administrative center, and a symbol of authority. The lord's day would begin early, often with mass in the castle chapel, a reflection of the pervasive influence of the church. After a simple breakfast, the day would quickly fill with responsibilities. The castle itself was a microcosm of society, bustling with hundreds of people: squires, servants, cooks, laundresses, stable hands, and many more, all serving the lord and his family. Managing this vast household was a task in itself, requiring constant oversight and delegation. Central to the lord's existence were his feudal obligations. He was bound by oaths to his king, owing military service, counsel, and financial aid. In turn, he held vast lands, granted to him by the king, which he then subdivided among his own vassals. This intricate web of loyalties and duties formed the backbone of medieval society. The lord's primary duty was to manage his estates, ensuring the productivity of his lands and the loyalty of his serfs and tenants. This involved overseeing agricultural cycles, resolving disputes, and administering justice within his domain. It was a constant balancing act between authority and responsibility. Life in the castle, while privileged, was far from idle. Entertainment and leisure were often intertwined with practical skills. Hunting was not merely a sport, but a means of acquiring food and training for warfare. Feasting, often elaborate and lengthy, served as a social and political tool, reinforcing alliances and demonstrating wealth. Tournaments, with their displays of martial prowess, were grand spectacles, but also dangerous training grounds for knights. Even the minstrel performances and storytelling served to reinforce cultural values and provide moral instruction. Education for noble children was rigorous, focusing on martial skills for boys and household management and piety for girls. The Lord's relationship with the church was paramount. Religious rituals permeated daily life, and the church often served as a powerful moral and political force. Donations to monasteries and churches were common, seen as a path to salvation and a display of piety. Yet, beneath the veneer of privilege lay constant pressure. The threat of conflict was ever present. Neighboring lords, rebellious vassals, or foreign invaders could plunge the region into war at any moment. The castle, therefore, was always in a state of readiness, its defenses maintained, its garrison trained. The lord himself was expected to be a skilled warrior, leading his men into battle when necessary. This constant vigilance, coupled with the immense responsibility for the lives and livelihoods of those under his protection, was a heavy burden. Comparing this life to that of the common city dweller reveals a stark contrast. While the lord enjoyed security within his fortified walls and access to loot, his life was governed by a different set of rigid expectations and dangers. The commoner faced immediate, visceral threats from disease and poverty. The lord faced political intrigue, the demands of warfare, and the immense weight of his social position. Both lives, in their own ways, were a testament to the unique challenges and opportunities presented by the medieval world, painting a complete picture of urban existence in an age-long past. As the echoes of medieval city life begin to fade, and the sounds of its bustling streets, its fervent prayers, and its quiet struggles recede, we find ourselves back in the gentle quiet of the present moment. We have journeyed through a world both alien and strangely familiar, a world where survival was a daily triumph, knowledge a precious commodity, and privilege a heavy burden. From the commoner navigating streets thick with refuse, to the ambitious merchant charting perilous trade routes, and the lord balancing power with responsibility, each life in the medieval city was a testament to human resilience. It was a time of stark contrasts, where beauty coexisted with squalor, and profound faith with brutal realities. Reflect for a moment on the comforts that surround you now. Clean water, readily available food, the quiet of your home, the vast ocean of knowledge at your fingertips. These are luxuries that would have been unimaginable to most in the medieval era. Understanding their struggles, their innovations, and their daily lives allows us to appreciate our own world with fresh eyes, and to see the long, winding path of human progress. As the last whispers of this bygone era drift away, allow your mind to settle. Let the historical echoes gently guide you towards a peaceful rest. The tales of the past have been told, and now a quiet calm awaits. May your dreams be as rich and profound as the history we have explored tonight.